Today, friends, I'm going to share a brand new way to make threads in Tinkercad. So let's get cracking. We're going to start at my website, HLModTech.com. I've got a page dedicated to Tinkercad. You can find all sorts of categories, the day one favorites, the useful starters, and the Tinkercad essentials. Today, we're going to quickly zip down to the HLModTech digital library. Of course, you can also get here quickly using the bit.ly on the screen. This is a Google Sheet where I maintain my favorite lessons in different levels so it helps you find what you want to work with faster. Today we're going to talk about threads. Before I get too far in the project, I do want to mention to you that today's project is brought to you by PCBWay.com. Their easy to use website is my go-to whether I'm doing a 3D printing, CNC, or PCB prototype project. They offer prototyping for as low as $5, and you can also have your parts assembled. If you're looking for 3D printing or CNC, PCBWay offers a full suite of services that are useful whether you're running your very first prototype or a full batch of parts. Of course, you can learn more by checking the link in the description. Return to the skill, of course, this is where you can find my thread playlist, and here you get to see how it looks when I have just added a brand new link. That's how this works. I can update it. If you come back, you always get the updated version. Real quickly, we're going to jump to this thread calculator. I want to show you the update I made. Of course, you do have to tell it you want to leave YouTube. I'm going to say yes and go to the site. The nice thing here also is you make a copy so you can adjust it as you want and never break what I built. Real quickly, if you want to see the full tutorial about how this works, the link to the bit.ly is right here. I will share super quick. It has clearances built in to make all of these common threads. If you find that they are too sticky on your printer, just change this to 0.2 instead of 0.15. Same thing over here. You may want to make this one 0.15 as well. You can adjust these and see how they work on your 3D printer. This overlap is just how much these threads actually stick in when you build them. Once again, to see the full technique of how to use this, you can follow it right here. Now, there used to be a column A. It's still there, but I've hidden it because instead of column A, we can simply use the row numbers. So say you need to make a UNC 1/2 by 13 thread, you just grab this number 17 and you can move over to the vertical column, and when you type it in, hit 17, it fills with all the information that you would use to build that thread. Of course, we also have a calculator where you can build your own threads as well. Once again, same idea. Here is where you can adjust those tolerances to build what you need for your 3D printer. Bouncing back to my sheet, I do want to remind you there is a full playlist of thread projects. We've got all sorts of custom ones. Of course, make sure you always return here to see what the latest projects are. So here we are at Tinkercad.com. It is the absolute easiest place to learn computer-aided design. It is 100% free. You can simply choose sign in with Google. If you click over here on your designs, they are all stored to the cloud. You can make them shared links, you can make them private, or you can make them public. Today we're going to make a brand new design. Simply hit create 3D design. I like to start by naming our projects. This one is going to be called Knuckle Thread. When you click down here, it is automatically saved. If you have not used Tinkercad much before, you may want to check out my day one tutorials. They are in this playlist right here. We're going to build today with Sketch. If you zoom in, this fits exactly in a 20 by 20 grid. I'm going to set it right in the center. If you have not seen Sketch before, I highly recommend checking out the Sketch features. Whenever something new is added, it is highlighted here. The animations are awesome, and there are tips and tricks included that are going to make you better as a Tinkercad designer. Whenever you're done learning, you can simply hit the X. If you prefer my tutorials, you can just use this bit.ly right here. Today we're going to make our fun thread by simply making a diamond. I'm going into a centimeter grid. I'm going to go 5 over, 5 up, and just make my diamond like this. When I double click, it becomes a circle. I am going to choose my thread measurements. I'm going to make one that's 15, and then I need it to be an oval, so I'm going to make this one 16. I'm putting the gap between them at 1 millimeter. Is that easy? Now we're going to hit Finish Sketch. I'm going to leave the height alone. and I'm simply going to take the twist, I'm going to make it 360, and I'm going to make the steps smooth. Just like that, we have built a workable knuckle thread. Now, if you look at how far these pop out, you have got an option of what you want the height to be. If I want these knuckles to be a little larger, I'm going to change this to 8 so it squeezes down, and now you can see the knuckles sticking out a little further. All right, I like those knuckles. This is a little bit of guess and test to find what you like, but let me show you how to make the hole so that we can make this come together. I'm just going to do Control D, Shift nudge to move it the other side, switch it to a hole, double click it, and then inside we're going to add the gap we want. I want it to be 0.3 larger. I find that this works with most of my printers, so I'm going to just do 16.3 and 15.3 and press enter. If we hit Finish Sketch, I have now got the thread piece and I've got the hole piece that we're going to use to thread into. Let's make a couple of quick adjustments. The first thing, if you set this quality to 3, it is going to group faster and it will not affect print quality. We need to make this one a hole and set the quality to 3 and press enter. Note for the rest of the videos, you're going to see that I have the high quality ones. I'm just going to remind you, you want to set them to 3. It makes everything easier from here on out. I'm going to thread this into what I'm going to call a nut. I'm going to give it a bevel of 2. And I'm going to set the height so that it matches this. This one is 8. So I'm going to take this one and make it 8 as well. Let's line them up and see how that looks. L for align. Click on this shape, center, center. And the nut needs to be just a tiny bit larger, I think, so I get it outside those edges. I'm going to set that height back to 8. Press enter. That fits inside that shape, so now I can select them both and do Control G to union group. Notice this is complex with those 360 rotations, so you might have to wait. Of course, remember, if it ever does feel totally frozen, you can always just back out to the Tinkercad workspace and it'll retry when the project opens the next time. They are always stored in the queue on the Tinkercad servers. Of course, on queue, ours has just grouped. Bang! We have got a nut for our new thread. Now let me show you how to adjust the height of this. If I want this to be twice as high, the correct way to do it is to do W for work plane, click on this shape, Control D, and D to drop. That's going to be the length of my thread. It'll go through a little bit. W for work plane to put it back. Now I want to make sure the nut matches, so check this out. I'm going to do Control D, W for work plane, put the work plane up on top of here, D to drop, and then we're going to ungroup this one. Now I can click and get rid of the hole. Notice that is the one that is selected. So now I can bring this over. I'm going to hit W and put the work plane back on the ground. Select those two. L for align. Let's make the center one the boss and choose center and center. For 3D printing, I'll want this the other way. I'm going to select them and let's just rotate it. Notice if you stay inside this circle, it's 22.5 degrees per turn. If you hold shift, it's 45 degrees per turn. Now I can grab them both. Let's choose export as an STL. And I'm going to put them in my 3D modeling folder as knuckle thread. Now we can bounce to PrusaSlicer. I'm using generic PLA. We can quickly add that file. Of course, knuckle thread is at the very top. We can choose open. I'm going to use 0.2 speed, generic PLA, and we can simply hit slice now. Let's hit send to connect, and I'm going to set it to ready and print now. And in about 20 minutes, we're going to have a new threaded project. And not too much later, we are back with the core one. And our new threads. And we've got the moment of truth. This was the first one I made. This is half as big as the other one. And as you can see, threads work perfectly. How cool is that? This is our new one. This is a good look at what the knuckles look like. See how those are smooth? And then also, it threads immediately. How awesome is that? A massive shout out to ZDP189 for sharing the skill. Friends, a quick wrap up. Of course, there are lots of ways to make threads in Tinkercad. Make sure you check the full playlist above for everything that I've shared. I love how simple this one. It is so fast and you can easily pick your dimension, make your thread, and start playing with it in minutes. If you do make a fantastic project with threads, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Of course, if you've got other ideas, please share them as well. A massive shout out to everybody that supports me via YouTube memberships. Don't forget there are 3 levels of support starting as low as $5 a month. With any level of support, you get early access to videos. Make sure you also pay attention for those members only posts. A massive shout out as well to everybody that supports me via Patreon. Love how that group is growing. We're way past 600 members. It has a fantastic free messaging area where you can ask questions, post designs, gain skills. Of course, you can learn more with the bit.ly up above or the link in the description. Finally, friends, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget every time you like, hype, share a video, add a comment down below, or click subscribe. You're helping HLModTech get just a little bigger, which absolutely makes my day. Friends, have a glorious day, and keep tinkering.